If you can begin, Brooklyn.
Yep, we are ready.
Okay, so this is the meeting of the Historic Preservation Board of the Village of Pittsburgh. I'm Lisa Cove, I am the chair. We do have a quorum tonight. We are missing one of our board members, Kendra Evans, but we do have quorum, so we will be able to still hold our meeting. We have an agenda this morning, or this afternoon, this evening, of 5 people on our agenda. I'd like to ask my board, is there anybody who needs to recuse themselves from any of the applications that we are going to hear tonight? Jenny?
I do not.
Do not. No.
Okay, and I do not either. All right, so we are going to begin. It's 5:35. Covering the speaker. All right, so our first applicant is 25 Monroe Avenue, removal of non-functioning exterior storm door. Do we have the, okay, hi.
Hi.
You want to come on up?
Sure.
You have a gang with you
I
today.
do. I have my 2 designers here.
Perfect.
Daniel.
In for a civics lesson.
Yeah.
Usually we get high school students, but you know, we start early.
Should I sit, stand?
Yeah, whatever is most comfortable.
No,
And
my
welcome,
daughter,
welcome to the village.
Called to the hospital, nothing urgent, but Grandpa's stepping
On
in.
duty,
so-
perfect.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome Grandpa to the village. I didn't get a
Hi.
formal welcome. I know that you're a new
Yeah.
resident, so welcome. Tell us what you're interested in doing. I know you're doing a big kitchen renovation in the house, right?
I am, yeah. And in the house right now is and I'm sorry, I meant to bring a few more documents with me, but this was all very recent, this issue. So, okay, you have the
Yeah,
photo.
we got everything I can.
Great.
Got it, yeah.
So the house, when I bought it, there was the kitchen, which was part of the existing home, I believe. And then there was an addition added, which when I bought the house was a laundry room. It was added quite a while ago, I can just tell from the timbers in the room. On the side of that addition was a door, which frankly, I didn't even realize was there when I bought the house. The inside of that room is all drywalled and paneled over. The door, there is no door other than that screen, or I'll call it a storm door. There
The
isn't-
exterior door.
Yeah,
Yeah, there isn't a regular exterior door. It was just the frame is there and just the door. So in the process of renovating, I thought, why don't I just go ahead and remove that door and just fill it in with clapboards that'll match the rest of the house. So that's my proposal.
all right.
So everybody see the
Yeah.
door? Everybody got a chance
Yeah.
to look at that?
So there's no functional reason on the interior with your renovations that require the removal of the door.
Right,
Do I
and
understand that
Lisa
correctly?
and I had spoken, and she asked that I check with Steve about that, and there is no reason, there's no egress reason for that door.
Right, well, if it already had been obscured by a solid wall that went across it, obviously it wasn't being used.
Right.
But you're not going to use the opening for anything else, obviously, because you just want to cover it up.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
won't use for anything else.
Ken, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, I don't.
Good,
Jeff?
Looks like a good idea.
good, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
No question.
Self-explanatory for me. Jenny, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have some comments.
Okay.
This looks like an old door. This is a 1885 Victorian.
Mhm.
I don't have any idea exactly of the date of the door. There's commonly, when shutters, you may want to close shutters. Sorry, I'm looking for an illustration here. It's not uncommon, and sometimes it's purposely done to maintain the rhythm of openings in a wall. Shutters will be closed here. And sometimes there's a window behind there, and sometimes there's not a window behind there.
Okay,
But this, window or not, becomes a character defining feature in the home, on the building, excuse me, it's not always a home. So I guess I would ask you to consider that. I mean, if the only reason to do that, to remove it,
Mhm.
is to provide a continuous line here, what you're not illustrating on this drawing, and I'm assuming you've used Photoshop or something.
that's correct.
Okay, so there's going to be a line. There will be a line, a cut line
There will not be a cut line.
No,
You're gonna put
you're
out-
putting all new boards in.
Well, what I'll do is stagger the boards.
Yeah.
So there won't be a cut line.
Yeah.
They'll be sanded, they'll be painted.
This is sort of added room anyway, too, wasn't
Right,
it?
that-
Well, the room is there.
Oh, but
It was already there when I bought the house.
Right, but it was added after the original structure.
I'm quite sure it was, but it was added a long time ago, just
Right.
based on the
yeah.
And the look of the door,
beams in
yeah.
the house, yeah.
It
And
looks,
and the door could have been moved from another part of the house to that section, for all we know.
it gives, the presence of the door there, pardon me, now I'm losing track of the work here. It speaks to the past use of this wing of the building. That this was an exit, it was going to the side yard. So
All right, well,
I have it,
let's vote on it. If you,
I would,
do you have any other questions?
I would prefer to see the door remain and just do as was the case before. Insulate in the wall void and put drywall over. That would be my preference.
And-
I think
and-
that would be more, that would be retaining an original, don't know how, perhaps not 1885. Additions and changes develop their own significance over a period of time. So I would argue for retaining the original door that's here, because there's no functional reason to require an opening, and there's no reason why the opening could not be filled and finished on the inside as it is currently.
All right, is there anybody else who'd like to make any comments or statements to the board or to the applicant? Do you want to say anything else?
I just want to clarify, what I heard was, I think, two things, so I just want clarification. One would be to add shutters to basically cover the door.
No, not to add shutters, only that there is precedent for having a feature like shutters, just closed over, and the lighthouse out at Charlotte
Mhm.
has recesses in the brick walls. There's no window there. There are shutters on there to continue the rhythm of the window openings across the face of the wall. This is not similar, except that when shutters are added to a building to maintain the rhythm, that's the characteristic of the property. It's not unusual to close those blinds.
Instead of removing the window, just to keep the consistency of the rhythm,
Yes.
to close. So in other words, what
Yes,
she's
or
saying
even
is
if
that
there was
she's,
never a window there.
right, just to, right,
Just
but
just
because there's no
maintain the rhythm.
consistency there, there's nothing else there, there's no rhythm per
No,
se.
there's not a rhythm, that's
there's-
right.
there's a
But this
detail,
is
yeah.
an original historic character-defining feature of this wing of the building. And it's my opinion that the more compatible approach would be to leave the door in place.
Okay,
I
Does any-
think Virginia is saying that, like shutters on a different building, that this door, has some historical significance that you may want to consider for yourself.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I would have guessed this door was added well after the addition was put on. It's a relatively, from my knowledge, it's a relatively inexpensive storm door. I didn't think there was any historical relevance. If there is, what I was asking is, would there be an option to cover it with shutters? I don't find it very attractive. I understand it might be historically relevant, and I'm willing to, to live with that. I want to do something that would make it more attractive, and I thought by putting in the.
yeah, shutters would not be an option, because then you're adding
Okay.
something. So
Okay.
she was just using it as an
I get it.
example that the
Okay.
shutters are just to close it up.
Steve has a
Let me
good
just
point.
clarify.
I guess I'm not quite understanding, because there's no proof that there was an original door. It's non-functional, it's got wood panels instead of being a door.
Point of order here.
Door has not been a door for.
I call point of order here. Steve does not participate in the determinations on our on our review.
I have a right as a building inspector that deals with these applicants to speak in a meeting. Otherwise, I do not belong here at all.
So Steve has been inside and he's seen the renovations that are being done, so he
Okay.
just wanted to, but I
Yes,
understand.
Scott?
Okay, so if there's no other questions or comments, yes, Jeff?
I want to point out to the applicant that we have only 4 members here tonight. You are entitled to have a 5-member panel. I don't know what your time frame is, but if you wanted to have this adjourned when we have a full board, that is your right. And when I say that, I'm saying that you have a right to have a 2-3 or a 3-2 vote, whichever, I don't know how it's going to go. I have no idea how anybody's going to vote. My point is that you have the right to have an adjournment till a full board.
Well,
Jeff,
yes,
here's a question, hold on one second. Jeff, if we do vote and it doesn't pass or it's a tie vote, can he come back again with the same thing?
It's not a decision.
that's what I was getting to. If
I
it's,
figured.
if it's 3-1, it won't matter.
Yeah.
Right, if it's
2-2, then
2-2,
I'll be back. So, yeah, I would just assume,
That's
see
fine.
where things are now.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Just let me make one final comment. I never said I thought this was attractive.
Okay. Point noted. All right.
Don't
Got it.
misunderstand me.
okay, so does
I
anybody want to,
understand,
does
yeah.
anybody want to make a motion? Anybody? Where's our address and everything?
At a meeting of the HPB on May 16th, 2022, the following motion was made. Make a motion that we accept the
Approve as
proposal,
submitted. Approve as submitted,
approve
deny or
the,
approve as submitted.
uh-oh.
Okay, just a
All
little
right,
iPad.
we're all safe back there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. As submitted for the application of the side of the home at 25 Monroe Avenue.
I will second that.
Okay.
So Brooklyn, you just have to do a roll call.
All right, roll call, Chair Cole.
I'm last.
Oh, she just put him in.
Oh, all right. I don't know if that matters.
I'm
Does it
sorry,
matter?
yeah, I'm
Oh, it
reading it
doesn't
right
matter.
off.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
reading
just
it right
always
off.
last, but that's okay.
No problem.
Yes.
It matters with the trustees because the mayor doesn't have to vote
Oh, okay.
Member
unless
Powell,
it's a tie.
Yes.
Member Searle.
Go to others first, please.
Sure. Member Morrow.
I'm voting to let the applicant extend his wood siding over where the door is.
So that's yes.
Yes.
Back to Member Searle.
No.
Motion passes.
Okay,
Okay,
so you're all set.
Thank you.
Could we, wait, it just occurred to me. The applicant indicated that he was going to tooth in the siding so that there would not be a single,
Oh, so you want to
Line
just
of-
add that?
Cut
in.
mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
yes, a single line of
Yeah, so we could just make sure that
delineation
that's done.
between the,
Okay, if you could put that in the record, that there will not be a single cut line in that door.
Right, it'll be staggered in.
I just have one other burning question. How tall do you think that is?
That room, the ceiling in that room is 7.5 feet. I believe that door is 80. I don't think it's 84. I think it's 80 inches tall. I'm not positive. If you need to know, I can,
No, I don't know.
I mean,
I was just curious. It looks like it's really tall.
yeah, I don't think so, because the room is only 7.5. The rest of the house is, I'm sorry, 8.5. The rest of the house is 9 feet tall, but this ceiling is
Oh,
lower in this part of the house. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, all
thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you all, okay.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Be good for Grandpa.
Come on, Drew, let's go.
Okay.
oh, gee, we were having such a good time here.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so we have 18 Eastview Terrace, door replacement. Hi, come on up. How are you?
Great, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. So, it looks like, I was kind of a bit confused here. You've got, in this picture, you've got a circle around an upstairs window.
That's a door.
It's actually
That's
a
the
door, that's what I figured.
That's the door
Yeah.
that we're talking
This-
about.
this picture
Got
here,
it, got it,
right,
got it.
that's the
Okay,
door,
couldn't
okay.
figure that out. Because it really looks like the window, doesn't it? From that
It's a
view.
second.
And next to it is the window.
There is a window next to
Okay.
it, correct?
Out there.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I
It's
know.
the old
this.
house, we just went through this.
And you're looking to replace the door
Right.
with,
Another door, similar style, different material. The door that's currently there is a wood door. It has just sustained a lot of damage. It's starting to rot and deteriorate along with the door frame. So we've been getting water damage underneath that door in the kind of room below that. And the door at this point isn't even, it's not flush with the rest of the house. So we're just getting a big kind of draft coming into the house. So we were hoping to replace the door with a fiberglass door that would just be a little bit more robust to the weather.
did you consider replacing it with a wood door?
We did. Some of the reasons we're thinking of not doing that was we recently installed a door in our garage that this door is facing. And we know we can get that same door and it would kind of match that style. So
It's inside the garage?
On the
Or
outside?
It's on the outside of
On
the
the
garage.
outside, but it's
Correct.
not seen from the public way?
It is, but from the opposite direction. So that,
So was that door approved by us?
it was, yes, yeah. We did this, I don't know, several months ago.
So the other door was approved by us?
Correct.
And it's the same material,
Correct,
the same everything?
same style, correct, yeah.
So the screen door is going. Is the screen door in this picture?
Yeah.
Is that going to go?
We haven't, I guess, to be honest, I'm not sure. We haven't discussed that with the contractor. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a reason why you would not replace it with a window? Here's my concern.
Yeah, sure.
It's a door.
Is there a reason why you would not replace this door with a window instead?
Oh,
My reasoning is, if you're getting water damage through that door opening,
Yeah.
putting in a window instead would completely address that problem. And I'm looking at I'm not on your roof looking at the roofing, but the roofing looks like it's in pretty poor condition as well. No comment. But do you ever go out on the roof?
Right, so the reason we don't want to replace it with a window is because that part of the roof is flat. We actually just replaced that part of the
Is
roof.
that flooring section here? It's defined by wood edge? Looks like this edge right here, right there.
Yes.
This is a special material.
Yeah, it's a rubber material, rubber membrane that we just had installed by the same contractor we're talking to now. And it actually looks to be holding up okay for the most part. We want the option of potentially putting a deck out there. It seems like, whoever installed this door and that flat roof, that was kind of the original intention. And so I guess we're thinking that it would kind of be nice to have that as an option in the future.
How much of a drop is it from the second floor to the roof deck,
I don't know.
you estimate?
Oh, gosh.
2 inches, 6 inches?
So, I'm sorry, from what's,
From the second floor behind here
yes.
to stepping out onto this roof? How
Okay.
How much
big
is
is
that?
Yeah, so something like 2 inches seems about right, something like that.
Well, my experience as an architect is that, what's the roofing material, EPDM?
I'm not sure, it was described to us as a rubber membrane.
It's EPDM.
Okay.
It's a synthetic rubber.
Got it.
They don't put real rubber on roofs. It's a synthetic rubber. I would be concerned, from my experience detailing these kinds of connections, it's very difficult to make that a watertight connection, particularly if you want to use it as a deck area. You'd want to put something down over that EPDM to protect it from chairs or whatever. You don't want to put any punctures through your roofing materials, so you'd want to put something over it. And I'm not making any suggestions or guesses of what you might want to put on there, but you do need, if you're going to use that as outdoor space, you need to protect your roofing.
Is there a railing there?
So
Sure.
there's no railing there now, and they're not using it.
Yeah.
They're not using it for now. I'm thinking about the future, because
But I'm thinking about the future of us not approving a railing. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, if it was
Right.
never there, I don't know if we would ever even consider putting
Well,
it
I don't
on
think
there.
we should conjecture about that. My concern about that distance is, can you adequately provide protection for the roofing without compromising
Oh,
I want
the
that.
can't even have.
watertight connection at the door? And I understand the desire, potential desire to be able to sit out there.
Right.
On the other hand, there are practical matters to consider that you as a homeowner might not think about, and me as an architect.
Okay, Ginny, can I
Think
go
about all the time.
back to the application? Steve, is this visible to public way?
Barely.
Who can see it? Jefferson Road.
Yeah, you can barely see it.
There's no sidewalk there, it's a highway.
Yeah, if you're going down Jefferson, you can look up through and barely see it.
If you look fast.
So
When you're going in.
the applicant is proposing to replace the door. So the window is something different. We're not talking about that window tonight. We're talking about the door. And he wants to know if he can replace the door with the same door that we approved already for another part of the house. Same look, the same material. So Ken, do you have any other questions for the
I
applicant?
just have some comments.
Sure.
You know, when I was in like a grade school, we used to have this thing like you want to have in Arundequite, and it was on the second story. You walk out onto it, you know, I got the word like finally, don't walk out onto it, because, you know, if we put chairs or whatever out there, you know, then the nice room that was below it, you know, would start leaking into that room. And it did have like a, you know, wood railing around it. I mean, it was nice. I like going out on it. But those are the things I think you ought to make sure you consider, especially if it's a rubber roof.
Okay, Ken,
might
let's
just
stay
go
on
right
task
through
for the
that.
door. So let's
Okay.
just stay on the door. Do you have any questions about the door replacement? Anything, Ken?
Nope.
Okay, Jeff?
Just a quick thing.
Sure.
So if this door goes in, the whole framing will be done over
Yes.
and molding and everything?
Yeah, to match the style, that's there.
Okay, just have a rubber gasket at the bottom, air seal at the bottom, the new door.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, all right. That's it.
Okay, I have,
Questions about the door?
yes, about the door itself. I think, Lisa, you're considering whether or not the proposed door matches a door that we already approved somewhere else in the house. And I'm thinking about, does this door match this door? Which it does not.
The one that we approved on the other part of the house, was it the same exact door
Yes,
as that one?
yes.
Was the one that we replaced, did it look just like that one?
Well, so this door that you approved was actually replacing a window in our garage.
So we were replacing window, it wasn't a door replacement, so it
Correct.
was a brand new door?
Yes.
Okay, and it was
They
replacing the window.
cut in from a window
Yeah,
into a man
yeah,
door in the
okay.
garage, because you never had a
Yeah.
man door in the garage. You only
Yeah.
had the two overhead doors.
So let me
Yeah.
ask the applicant, is there a door option that looks more closely related to the door that's there already, that you
Yeah.
might consider?
We've been looking for some time. We haven't been able to find a door that looks exactly like the one that's there. We thought that this looked pretty close and was also at, a somewhat reasonable price point that we could get within the next, short amount of time and not several years out.
Mhm. So you weren't able to find a door that was closely more similar to the one that's there at this time,
Correct, not more similar than the one.
you think this
Yeah.
is as similar as the one you could find?
I can verify, you would have a very hard time finding a single pane wood door that looks like that nowadays.
Well, it doesn't have to be single pane, it could be insulated glass, but the panels, there are 3 horizontal panels in the lower half of this door. The proposed door has 2 vertical panels. The existing door, the
More
area with
window.
glass is smaller than the area of wood. On the new door, the area of glass is larger than the area of fiberglass.
Is that a concern for anybody here? Is there anything else that anybody wants to say about that? I mean, I do understand your comments, Ginny, and I'm just wondering if there was a way that we could get a door that's a little bit more similar. I mean, would you be willing to, maybe take another look and see if there's anything else you could find that might be more similar to the door that's already there?
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to. We've been thinking about this project for several months
Okay.
now, and nothing new.
Because I think that
We
would
can take another look.
make us feel better if
Yeah,
we could
of
just
course.
take maybe another month to see if we could find something like that.
Yeah,
Is that okay with you?
yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to
Okay,
do that.
okay. All right, so, I'm sorry.
If you bring in something different,
Mhm.
would you please indicate that you intend to match the casing, the exterior casing of this door with other openings on the house?
Yeah, sure.
Because that also would be important.
Okay,
I take it this door opens inward and you
Yes.
keep the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, you went,
Yeah.
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So if that would be okay, that we really appreciate it, I think that
Yeah, of
would
course.
make us feel better. Okay.
Is there a way to, I guess, what's the best way to communicate that?
So probably through Steve, you've heard,
Okay.
so Steve will kind of help you, guide you along through trying to get that other, maybe something a little bit more similar to that, and then just put you on the schedule for the next one.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, great.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your
it.
help.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's see, 71 State Street.
This.
We have Mr. Michaels here for an addition.
This one.
So before you begin, Bob, I just want to make a couple comments so that you don't have to worry about spending time on this. We do appreciate it when neighbors write letters. They don't really impact us so much because it really doesn't. I mean, we're happy that the neighbor's happy.
I did not ask.
So
you.
just, yeah, so just so you know that.
So this-
Number one. Number two, there's really no need for you to tell us how you're using the space.
Okay.
It's your own business, how that space is going to be used.
Okay.
Our only concern is how it looks on the outside,
Sure.
okay? So you don't even
Sure.
have to waste your time on that. Just let us know the exterior, because that's what we're interested in.
Okay. Let me just shuffle the papers
So
here.
before the applicant begins, Steve, the application form indicates that zoning variance was required. Has that been received?
We received two variances for that.
Okay.
Yes, I talked to Justin. on that.
Okay.
Just want it to be on the record.
Yeah, we got that on the record, Brooklyn, but that was just clarified that this has already been approved through planning and zoning. Thank you.
Okay. So just to, a baseline of where we started, when we moved back into this house, we owned the house since a year old. This is what the house looked like. You may not recognize it
Mhm.
because this is the house today, same house. And those are the.
And it never had a front porch?
No.
Wow, it looks good.
No,
Oh, nice.
no, put that on about 10 years ago.
Boy, that made a big difference, huh?
It did, tremendous. And the details, we extended the eaves, we put the window in,
Can I see the other picture again? I just want to
Sure.
see that, with that.
Yeah.
top.
Yeah, I'd like to see the photographs, these large size photographs.
Wow.
Can I look?
Yeah. So just a clarification, and Steve, you might be able to help us with this, and me with this. So I went and looked at the site so that I could see where the public view was, and I thought that the only part that was a public view was this side part that you could see the two double hung windows. Now,
The others.
the neighbor, which I considered a private, can see the back, but would that be considered public view or? No, okay.
Right, I mean, that road is it.
That road goes back to
Yeah,
those.
and it butts up to the canal, and the canal, that slopes down. You can't see it from the canal either, I looked.
No, but the
No.
road that goes back.
You
by
don't
the
put
house,
it-
technically.
But is that a road, or is that,
Well, it's a-
is it
Access drive.
named?
I don't know, I mean, it comes down to like, is Stonegate a road or is it a private drive? You know what I mean? It's-
Does the mailman drive down there and deliver mail?
No,
Does the
Okay.
village plow it?
no,
It's probably
Oh.
a private drive.
It doesn't, there's no mailboxes in the background?
no, there's
People in the
one,
back, yeah.
the mail person walks down to
Driveway,
their
right.
porch,
Back over.
like
Okay,
anybody.
Like
so
everybody else in the
right.
village.
So the one side is not visible at all, that other side. The back side is visible to the neighbor, it's not visible to the public way of the canal. The only side that I saw was visible is this side right here. So with that said, Does that mean that we need to make or approve the backside or the other side if it's not visible? That's my
I
question.
think you're just approving, the addition, period. I mean, I don't think you differentiate from side to side, he's come in with a proposal for addition.
Well, yeah, because when we approve windows, we've said if they're in the back of the house, and we have no jurisdiction over that.
Right, but you also look at massive scale.
For the size of that, for the size, yeah,
Right.
Yes.
okay. Also, when I went and looked at the property, the roof line is also dropped, and it's also inwards from, so you can't see that from the front either.
Yeah, and sitting with Bob, when he first proposed this, he scaled this based on your rulings as far as keeping the addition subordinate to
Yes.
the main. So you always know that it's a different entity that was not part of the original main whole.
Okay,
It was completely designed with that in mind.
What I did was, and that's correct, Steve, what I did was I carefully read the village's historic review board
codes and ordinances.
application and the information that goes along with that application, which is very helpful. And I was very careful to try to adhere to those recommendations in the sense of the mass and scale. It's certainly subordinate to the main structure. As Lisa mentioned, we dropped the roof line down. We set it back from the front or the side by 3 foot on one side and 2 foot on another. It's purposely designed in that respect to be subordinate. And also okay with the rest of the house.
Let me just clarify, so these two side windows here,
Yes,
on this drawing, it looks like you have some decorative detail on the tops of these windows here.
Yes, the
Yes.
head casing, the
Yes,
head
head casing.
casing on the new,
That's the west side, this is the east side. The two sides to
Okay, so
this.
you do have the head casing,
Yeah, this is on the
Right.
east side,
but only on,
that's the east side, correct?
the one that's visible.
and that's the west
Yes.
side there.
Okay,
there's no uniformity. Looking at the photographs that we have, that Mr. Michaels provided, there's no uniformity in the head casing
No, there isn't.
around the building. There are a couple that are more elaborate than the others.
That's right, the way it was.
and you're looking to put something on those two windows on that side?
That would be the east
No,
side.
actually, this is the revised plan.
Oh,
This plan shows, excuse me for pointing, oriel windows, which are present on the house on the first floor, but the more that I thought about this,
What oriel windows are you speaking about?
on the east elevation of the larger plan,
Well,
The other side.
an oriel window is round.
Well-
Do you mean the cottage style with a smaller
Top and a
upper
larger
sash and
bottom.
We,
a larger bottom?
yeah, we referred to them back when we were building houses in that era as oriel windows, but you're correct. It's more
Okay.
commonly called
It's a cottage.
Cottage.
So then these plans,
those are the revised plans,
Okay.
simpler, double hung, and I think makes it more subordinate all.
okay, so then
Again.
there's no top, what's it called again? What is it
Head
called?
casing.
No head casing, so there's no head casing.
No, there,
Okay,
I appreciate the effort you've gone to, and the massing is very good, in my opinion. And the simpler detail around the window as well.
it's better, yeah.
thank you.
Ken, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Not right yet.
We can move on to Jeff if you want to take some time.
I just want to say I visited your property and it's immaculate.
I
Your maintenance is superb.
Thank you.
I have no questions.
know the groundswoman.
Yeah.
I don't have any comments, questions. I actually talked to Bob when I went on site, and he answered questions, and I was able to see that, so I appreciate it, and I think that you've done a great job to make it simple and concise and
You
set
did your
back,
homework
and
too.
thank you for looking at all of our ordinances and that helps. Ken, did you want, or Ginny, did you want to go, or?
Do you want me to make a motion?
What, do you have any questions for?
No, I have no further questions.
So these windows
Say what the
are
sign
like
is.
these up here,
That's right.
Oh, yes, it
They're
is.
double hung.
and there's no, I think, muttons or called.
No.
No.
No, and they're wood windows.
They're all wood windows, right?
And then this is a little bit like this here, the
Yeah,
door.
yes, as a matter of fact, there are those two doors exist
In the house already.
already.
On the existing rear, that would be right here, next to the garage.
That would be,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, he's just
Here,
going in,
here.
yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
beautiful.
very clever.
exact door.
Yeah.
Only it'll be a double door.
And then this is the side facing Main Street, right? With the one window,
Facing State Street,
Main Street.
Main Street.
Like the
Well,
two
the Main
windows
Street,
here
you meant State
facing
Street.
Palmyra, and this is the other side.
You meant the main streets, but which
Well,
is called State
Main
Street.
Street.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
just to clarify,
Oh,
excuse me, this,
This is facing Palmyra.
no,
East, so
no, Palmyra Road or State Street
Is up
is
here,
out
right?
here. Yeah.
He's
So
talking
it's
about
out
facing-
here.
No, I don't mean the road, I
He
mean
says that's facing east,
the
That's what
village.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
east and west,
it's
yeah.
facing east.
Right, okay.
I'm going to make a motion if anybody doesn't, is everybody set?
Yeah.
Your questions? Okay. At the meeting of the HPB on May 16th, 2022, I make a motion that the HPB approve as submitted the application for an addition made by Bob Michaels for the property located at 71 State Street. Do I have a second?
Second,
All right, member Pond,
yes.
member Sarah,
Yes.
member Moore, yes, Chair Cole,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right.
Thank
Good
you very
luck.
much.
Thank you.
Very nice.
See you, bud.
Okay, so we have our next applicant, 3 Village Grove for a roof replacement. We have,
You get the shovel out tomorrow?
Okay. I'll let the workshop.
hi there,
Hi.
Really.
how are you? We appreciate you.
I'm interner's son. She
Oh.
had a stroke 2 years ago. so,
Okay,
I'm coming to represent and answer any questions.
Okay.
so she's the homeowner, and she
Yes.
lives there now,
Yes.
currently? Okay. Do you live there as well, or no?
No,
Okay,
I live in Fairport now.
okay,
I lived in Virginia until last year, and then I moved up here to retire.
all right.
Glad you're here.
You retired in the snow, to the snow?
See, that's what everybody says.
Listen,
but,
I would.
I don't like sun.
I know.
I wear lots of sunscreen, guys. Wear
See?
lots of-
See, there you go.
You couldn't pay me to live in Virginia. It's too hot.
I agree.
Yeah, people will sit there and they say, you're coming up here to retire the winter? I said, you know what? I grew up on Sullivan Street.
That's right, you're used to this.
Yes, and then Victor, and
Yeah.
last year in Virginia, we had 47 days above 95 degrees and humidity of 90%. When I hear the weatherman say, it's gonna be humid, it's gonna be like 70%, I start laughing. I said, that's not humidity, that's a nice day.
That's right. I feel you. All right. Okay, well, so you are here to propose removing the shingle roof, that's
Right.
the original material on the house,
Yeah.
and replacing it with a metal roof.
Right, she's had a couple instances with, because it's a ranch house with a very low.
Shallow.
Roof slope.
Yeah.
Low pitch.
Yeah, she's suffered a couple of times where, you get ice dams forming and she's gotten leakage, especially around where the windows are. The skylights on the back of the house. So she's not a big fan of, putting more asphalt on there and suffering the same problem, so she wants to go with a metal roof. And the way she describes it, she doesn't want the kind of metal roof where they got all the screws and stuff. She wants it, she calls it, yes, old barn. This is what she says, the metal roofs that were on barns.
Okay.
And so we had a quote come out from Kangaroo to see about putting the metal roof on.
It's like a shingle metal roof.
No.
No, it's a metal roof.
Standing seam.
Standing seam metal roof.
Standing seam.
Standing seam metal
I
roof.
think it's about 16 inches wide with about a 1.5-inch seam running the length of the slope of the house.
So my concern is that there's three things here. Number one, you're changing the original material, which we usually say try not to. Number two, it's going to significantly change the look of the house, which we also say we try not to. So those, I don't even know what the third one was, but those two are quite significant when it comes to preservation.
But is asphalt roofs should really be considered as
Architectural
historical.
shingles?
Yeah.
Well, remember, historical and preservation,
Yeah.
two pieces.
With respect to the house, it's
Yeah.
aged.
Right.
May I make a comment
Uh-huh.
here? Let's see, I'm not looking at this is a new house. This was,
I think 1989,
yes,
maybe?
it's
Relative.
not an historic home. It is not included in the National Register District in the village.
It's not. Why?
It's ineligible for listing. It's not 50 years old.
But I thought the whole Pittsburgh,
The whole of the village is still in
Yes.
a historic district.
yes.
Is
the
an
whole-
historic district, but it's not within the National Register District. So this is not contributing to the National Register District, and it's also ineligible for the National Register because
Not the house alone.
that whole development is brand new. Well, brand new for those of us who grew up in Pittsburgh.
Okay, so go ahead.
I think
So
discussing
historic
this,
and preservation, though, we got to separate those. Preservation is preserving what was the intent of the architect and the intent of the home, right? And then historic is so we got to think about both of those. And if you look at any of our information, that's 101, that's preservation 101. So how do you propose getting by that? Like what is your rationale to get by the very design standards and everything that we?
well, I'm not, but my feeling about this house as opposed to other recent houses who have come before us for probably not exactly identical, but similar, very similar. I differentiate between an actual historic home as our most recent application and a new, as I will call a new home.
A property shall be used for its historic purpose or be placed in a new use that requires minimal change to defining characteristics, and roofing is a significant defining characteristic of a building. The historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. Removal of historic materials, historic meaning that it's older than yesterday, or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. I mean, it's everywhere, and roofing is so much more significant to me than a window. I mean, you're changing the historic look of a shingled roof, which is and this is a ranch, so it's quite significant. That is going to change that house dramatically.
I absolutely 100% agree.
So our charge is not to change things, try to keep them as preserved as possible.
I don't think setting this application aside, our charge is not to keep everything the same. Our charge is to make sure that
Preserve.
things,
Well, the
that
same
changes are,
appropriate for the
the
building.
standards for rehabilitation were developed specifically so that historic buildings can be changed. The changes need to be compatible and in keeping with the original design intent.
Right, the original design intent, right, exactly.
What about the, water penetration and the flatness of the roof?
That's a real issue. I don't know. If I had thought about it, I would have brought my little roof pitch chart. This looks like it could be as low as, well, it's probably not more than a 4 on 12 slope.
Yeah, it's a 3 or a 4. I say.
3 on 12 is about the lowest.
Yeah, I was very
Shingle roofers
amazed in
will
the
warrant
time they
it.
were building in New York, that they would have slopes that low, but I see a lot of the ranches built around that
Right.
area, it all had those low
Right.
slopes. which
Well,
allows
well,
snow to
that's-
build up on them, and especially with
It's a
gutters.
character
That's how
defining
they
feature of a
learn,
ranch
right?
house, is a low sloped roof. But it's not,
A good idea.
I recognize the
Well, I mean-
problems around having such a low sloped roof. And as I said, under 3 on 12 usually is not recommended, and roofing contractors may not even install, but there also may be specific installation instructions. It's been a while since I specified an asphalt shingle roof, but my recollection is there are specific requirements if you're going to put asphalt shingles on such a low slope roof. Well, do you have any idea? Well, it doesn't matter. If shingles were put on now, as an architect, I would recommend that ice and water shield or some other durable waterproof membrane
underneath.
goes down underneath the shingles.
Sure.
Well, that was included with when they were talking about the metal roof, titanium undercoat or something
Well,
like
that should
that.
be, yeah,
Well,
with that,
there-
any roof.
Well, there are New York State
Nowadays.
building code requirements
Right.
for waterproof underlayment in valleys and eaves and that sort of stuff.
That and flashing could be
Yeah.
problematic too. I looked at the roof and it's quite worn. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't think
well,
that's
I mean, I
something
was
that could be
going up there to clean the leaves out before she put gutter guards on because the neighbor planted arborvitae and they just clogged the gutters up. And every time I'm pulling out hands full of gravel, so yes, the roof.
Do you know how old the roof is?
No, honest to God, my mother did not build the house. She moved here after my father died, so.
So we don't know how old that roof is.
Like I said, the house was built in 89. Could it be could it be the original roof? I'm not sure. The roof has not been changed since she moved in.
And she's been there, how long?
Father died, maybe 10 years?
Okay.
Is it a single layer in there now?
Yeah.
It's a single layer.
Oh, it's not.
That's original.
Yeah, it probably
Could
is.
be, wow. And the gutter guards are not, they can be problematic.
Right, I mean, that's another thing, we wanted to go for the metal roof, because the way they had the flashing will stop the water from coming back from the gutter guards, but the gutters were clogging up all the time. We didn't have any, like I said, I'd like to go with a chainsaw and cut down that whole arborvitae back there, but they just planted right on the property line, they just
Yeah.
blow all over the house.
I mean, I'm not a builder or an architect, and I do not do roofing, but I would think that whoever installs an architectural roof, shingled roof, would do it in a way that you don't get leakage. And if they can't do it that way, then that's a whole different story. But to me, if you've got a roofer who knows how to do roofing, they should be able to put a roof on there without any of the concerns that she has right now.
But I think that what Jenny said about the flashing or the material near
Absolutely.
the bottom is really
Essential.
key. There
Yes,
is
and that would be a roofer's.
Yeah, would
Yeah.
know all about that.
Like I said, I came here to basically, because like I said, she tried to match the color up to have the metal match the architectural shingles, because it's a kind of a grayish color.
Would she be opposed to having architectural shingle roof put back on by somebody who knows what they're doing?
I
and
mean,
can do it?
that was one of the options. It basically, she went down, this is what an architectural shingle roof, this is what metal roof was, this is, and so she'd save about $15,000 by basically going with architectural shingles, but she was looking to go to something that'd be a lot more permanent and what she thinks would look nicer.
Well, I suspect that a properly installed with flashings and waterproof underlayment as required by the New York State Building Code in new shingles.
Yeah.
It would surprise me if she continued to have trouble, as long as a reputable roofing
Well,
company.
I mean, there's
was
just some other
installed.
changes that are gonna have to be part of the roofing, because I've noticed a lot of the houses around here, they have vents at the back of the roof.
Yes,
Yeah,
And
it has
they
to be
said that
vented, right, yeah.
no one's doing that anymore, they'd have to put
it's a
a,
ridge vent.
A rigid,
Ridge vent.
yeah.
You need more airflow.
Yeah.
Underneath the, that's what helps protect you from ice dams, is keeping the underside of the
Exactly.
roof deck cold.
Exactly.
That's what I was gonna say, the biggest part of this, if you're having a lot of ice damming, it could be just pure ventilation.
Yes.
The roof will rot inside out, not outside in.
That's right.
typically.
Yeah.
And if your eaves are stuffed, you're not, you put a ridge vent in all day long, it won't do anything because it doesn't have any air.
No, I checked that after you talked to me, it has eave vents all the way along. I mean, they're not like the modern ones where they're just solid piece of vent thing around them, but they're round vents.
Yeah.
Is the insulation stuff to where those aren't doing anything? That's the
There's
question.
a lot of things I'll do in my age, is not going up in the attic.
Okay,
I don't blame you.
so let me ask you, do you
Okay.
feel comfortable, do you want to go back to your mom and talk to her about whether she would be in agreement to just replace with architectural shingles by a roofer who's going to make sure that she doesn't have all those problems?
Like I said, it was
now?
one of the options.
Okay.
She'd
Yeah.
much rather have had a metal roof.
Okay, or we
instead of
could
durability.
certainly vote on what you proposed, what you brought to us, and, we could do that as
Well, it
well.
doesn't sound like you're very positive about it. So-
Well, you never know, I don't know, we don't know, but,
If she's entertained it, and it would be a savings, you said it would be a savings for her to put on architectural shingles, is it, did I
Well, I mean,
understand you
it's-
correctly?
Well,
it would be.
let's put it this way. My mother's done well enough in stocks and bonds and stuff. The money's not an issue. We just went and they gave prices for various formats. And she
Right.
said, okay, the metal roof I want, it's going to cost me way more than that one, but I really wanted to have a metal roof if I could have it.
Do you like the
I have a
leather?
question. You know that house on East Avenue with the metal roof? It's like a flat roof
Now, where are you
East
talking
Avenue.
about?
Down in the city, right?
in the city?
How far down?
I mean, the Frank Lloyd Wright House?
No, it's
No, no,
like
that's not
on
on
East,
East
it's on the
East
south side of East.
Oh, no, not that,
You know, you go like maybe between.
It's a ranch?
No, it's like it's a brick house and
No.
it's a really nice house and it has a fairly flattish roof and maybe 15, 20 years ago, they put a standing seam metal roof in there. Looks really great.
But it was probably, was it standing seam copper, or was it?
No, I don't think it was.
metal.
It was just metal. It's like,
Okay, well, let's,
Can anybody afford to do
all
standing?
right, well, let's go back to the application.
People do.
Do we have any more questions for the applicant about what the proposal is? Would you like us to vote on this tonight, or?
What are the options if you say no, and then we have to go, just come back again with saying architectural shingles?
Wouldn't that be a straight,
Architectural
wouldn't that be a straight replacement, Steve? You wouldn't have to come back with it.
You wouldn't have to come back if you're replacing in kind.
Right,
Okay. No, let's go ahead and have a vote then.
okay. Does somebody want to make a motion?
all right, I'll make a motion. I make a motion that, what's the address?
Excuse me, I'm about to give my address.
3 Village Grove.
The house at 3 Village Grove is proposed to put a standing seam metal roof in. There we go. Okay,
It's a road van.
Been there, done that.
let's see, I'll put my glasses on.
Well, I'm just trying to read. What is your name?
Charles Turner.
And you grew up on Sutherland Street?
Yeah, I'm not sure the address anymore, but then we lived on Courtney Circle. I used to walk to Lincoln Avenue School when I went to school here for 5 years.
Do you mind if I ask how old you are? Did you
I
graduate
am
from Sutherland?
66.
Okay.
Child.
I also grew up in Pittsford. I also went to Lincoln Avenue School.
Oh, really?
Yes, but I graduated in 68 from Sutherland. So you're just a young kid.
Yeah. No.
Ken, do you want me to make a motion?
5
I'll make a
years,
motion.
moved to, after living in Pittsford, we moved to Victor, and I graduated from Victor
Okay.
Central School.
Okay.
Okay, Kevin's going to make a motion? Yep.
So I make a motion that we approve as submitted. Are there any conditions?
No.
Okay. An application for a roof on the house made by, can I ask your name?
Charles Turner?
Charles Turner, property located at 3 Village Grove. Okay, any findings of fact?
No, you can
Okay.
just ask for a second.
All right, we have a second?
Before we get if this is asphalt or this is standing seam?
This is the
This
metal
is
roof that they
standing
seam. Metal
that they
roof, okay, yeah,
proposed.
okay,
Yeah, we're going to vote on what he proposed tonight. Now,
Okay,
what if,
second.
what if, okay, you're going to second.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question? What if nobody seconds?
move.
Okay. All right, are you going to second?
I did.
Okay.
All right. Member Apollo?
No.
Member Sir?
No.
Member Moore?
Yes.
Chair Cole?
No.
Motion does not pass.
All right,
All
thank
right,
you guys
so
for your
see what she-
time.
See what she says.
Okay.
Thank you.
Your mom can yell about us.
All right, thank you, guys. Let's see, we have our last applicant, 9 Austin Park. Hey there.
So I apologize for the abundance of information I submitted. Steve did a little paring away. To paraphrase Mark Twain, I submitted a large application because I didn't have time to submit a short one. I do have something I would like to read. I'm sure you have questions for me, but if I could read this, I'm not very good speaking on my feet, so I've spent a lot of time putting this all together, and if I could do that.
Just tell me your first name.
Emily,
Emily, did we talk to you? We did the information only.
last
Yes,
time.
last time.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so my husband and I would like to replace all 22 existing windows on our house at 9 Austin Park with Infinity by Marvin Ultrex fiberglass. All the existing windows will be replaced by windows with the same dimensions, color, and style, casement for casement, double hung for double hung, as those they replace. The one exception is a rear-facing picture window that will be replaced by a full glass door and 2 full glass side lights, all fiberglass. We are also looking to replace 2 existing exterior doors to the garage, fiberglass doors. Our rationale for this first request is that our house was built in 1958. In the vernacular of the Village of Pittsburgh building design standards, it is a post-war mass-produced builder house. Quoting from Section 5 of the standards entitled Rehabilitation Standards for Post-War Houses, quote, compared with older homes, exterior materials during the post-war period tend to have a shorter lifespan and may require replacement post-war. The assessment of our windows that was done by HPB recommended local architect Blake Held stated, quote, in my opinion, there is little about the existing windows to merit preservation over replacement, post-war. Quoting again from Section 5 of the Village's Rehabilitation Standards for Post-war Houses, quote, the use of newer materials may be an appropriate substitution for wood if the appearance is indistinguishable from wood from the public right-of-way. Close quote. Our front windows are more than 65 feet back from the road, and I believe that from that vantage point along the public right-of-way, the passerby would be unable to distinguish fiberglass windows from wood. I have read the minutes from the last couple years of HPB meetings, and during that time, you have considered several applications for non-wood replacement windows, particularly in post-war houses like ours, and nearly everyone was approved. Second page. Second request, we would also like to alter the divided light pattern or Muntin configuration on all windows visible from the public right-of-way to an 8/1 divided light pattern. And our rationale is, if you have been by our house, you know that the windows on the front of the house, a post-war colonial, have an 8/8 divided light pattern, while those on the side have an 8/1 pattern. We would like to maximize the view out of our windows, as well as to make all the windows consistent in appearance as well as material. Mr. Held recommended that, quote, replacements be allowed with the condition that the divided light pattern on the front be replicated, close quote. With all due respect to Mr. Held, who is an expert in architecture, design, and restoration, we are not looking to restore a historically significant house. Rather, we are hoping to rehabilitate or alter our post-war mass-produced builder house located in a historic district. To quote from the Secretary of Interior Standards for Historic Rehabilitation, most properties change over time. And quoting again from Section 5 of the Village's Rehabilitation Standards for Post-war Houses, quote, it may be appropriate to draw inspiration from other houses in the same subdivision in the case of additions or alterations. In the late 1950s, 4 houses were built next to one another along the same side of our road, numbers 5, 7, 9, and 11 Austin Park. From the historical information available on the village website, which I included in the application but didn't make the cut, so this is it. you would be able to see that the 4 houses, when built, were virtually identical to one another, except that 2 of the 4 houses had a floor plan that mirrored that of the other 2. Not a single one of the houses was unique. They were really cookie cutter houses. Today, they are very similar in appearance. In fact, 2 of the 3 photos taken by Mr. Held and included in his assessment of our house were in fact taken from or of a neighbor's house. Clearly, it would be difficult to draw inspiration from other post-war, mass-produced builder houses on our small, dead-end street of only 10 houses. But there are several other post-war colonials, some mass-produced, some custom-built, within the village of Pittsford with a 6 or 8/1 divided light configuration on Green Hill, Rand Place, Main Street, others. And we have found inspiration in those houses. I do not believe that changing the divided light pattern of the windows on the front of our house will significantly impact its visual compatibility with surrounding properties. Elsewhere in the village, I see nearly identical colonials situated right next door to each other that have different divided light patterns. 12 and 14 Green Hill Lane, 31 at what used to be 33 Jefferson Road, and 10 and 12 Eastview Terrace, 3 pairs. They do not look incompatible with one another. I am certain that changing the divided light pattern on the front-facing windows of our house from the current 8/8 configuration to an 8/1, as the side windows currently have, would not, to quote the Secretary of the Interior's Standards for Historical Rehabilitation, quote, create a false sense of historical development. Rehabilitation as defined in those standards is, quote, a process of returning a property to a state of utility through repair or alteration to make possible an efficient contemporary use while preserving those portions or features of the property that are significant to its historical, architectural, and cultural values. Finally, the third thing we would like to do is to include dividers or muntins between the glass only. Our rationale is, I recognize that Section 5, Rehabilitation Standards for Post-War Houses states, quote, interior muntins or muntins sandwiched between panes of glass do not sufficiently resemble the appearance of a true divided light window. Windows with exterior or interior applied dividers plus spacers within the panes of glass are preferred. But on October 14, 2020, the HPB considered an application for fiberglass replacement windows in a post-war, mass-produced builder house in the Courtney Circle neighborhood. To help the board reach its decision, the HPB retained an architectural consultant who reviewed the application. According to the minutes from that meeting, the consultant's conclusion included the following, quote, number 1, under Section 5A, the type of windows installed are acceptable in terms of materials. Number 2, from far, the appearance matches the characteristics of the windows required of these period houses. Number 3, the muntin configuration is unperceivable from a distance to recognize that these are sandwiched between panes of glass. And 4, the panes resemble what already existed, close quote. The application was approved. In walking my dog around the village, I see many other houses with windows that appear to have dividers or muntins between the glass only. Of course, I'm standing on the sidewalk looking at the houses from several yards away, so I can't really tell for sure. Maybe instead they have simulated divided lights, I don't know. But the point is that from where I'm standing on the public right-of-way, I can't really tell the difference, which is what the board's consultant concluded in recommending the Courtney Circle application be approved back in October of 2020. So in summary, I'm asking that you approve our application for new replacement windows as submitted and articulated here, according to Section 112-6 of the Pittsford Code, specifically regarding historic and architectural preservation, quote, the board shall approve the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness only if it determines that the proposed work will not have a substantial adverse effect on the aesthetic, historical, or architectural significance and value of the property itself, the district, or neighboring properties in such district. Thank you for letting me read that. So I'm sure you have questions for me.
All right, my first question, are you a teacher? Or were you a teacher? Were you a researcher? Do you want a position on the board? No? Wow, you did a lot of homework. Thank you very much. Yes, you did a lot of homework, and I appreciate that, and very passionate. Yeah. I do not have a very good memory, but the one thing I do remember, and this was a comment that I think Jenny made when we were doing the information only. I know that you wanted to try to match all the windows, and we had talked a little bit about the fact that most of the time, the architect that designs the house specifically made the windows different. And remember, there was that conversation about that? So that just, for some reason, that just kind of comes to mind about that the windows in the front were different than the windows on the side, right? Which are different from the windows in the back? Or
Well, those in the back, I believe, have been replaced by previous owners.
Okay.
And
Oh, the back, right.
I think I said it last time, was that what Mr. Held had said was that he thought probably the builders put their money where it could be seen.
In the
So
front.
that's why the
Yes.
fancy windows were in front.
Yes,
Not so
yes,
fancy
that's
on the
right.
side.
That's what we were talking about.
But there are certainly houses in the district that are post-war colonials that have that 8/1 or 6/1 configuration.
Certainly. No, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that that's the one thing that stood out to me last time. The muntings, that piece.
I can tell driving by.
That's it, right. The muntings are a concern, that is a concern of mine. The other thing, and I know that most people have difficulty understanding this, but we do try not to compare what other people in the village have done with the application, primarily because we can't, our boards differ depending on who's on the board. We try our best to maintain, and look and go by the regulations in our code. So we can't, just because we did it one way, we can't just do it the other way.
Each application is different.
Right.
Each building is different. Each board is different.
Right. So, Ken, comment, question, something for discussion? I mean,
You didn't buy the house?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. So there's a, I guess we should probably break this down. First of all, the replacement, let's talk about the replacement of the sizes of the windows. Let's go there first.
They're identical to what is existing.
But didn't you want to change?
They want a doorway out to the exterior where there's currently a
That
Picture window.
That's right.
Picture window.
But
That's
didn't
the
you want to make
bump
all
out.
the windows consistent around the whole house?
That's.
We want to make them consistent as far as
Size?
the divided light.
Oh, okay, so they're not changing any
The
openings.
dimensions will be identical,
Okay.
the color will be the
So
same.
it's the
But instead
dividing
of being
light.
some fiberglass, some
It's the
wood,
dividing
some
light,
whatever,
okay,
they'll all be
got
the
it.
same kind of window.
The door and back is not visible.
Right,
from anywhere.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right.
Yeah, I figured that. There's no deck out there? It looks like you're just
There's a
stepping
small
down.
patio. I mean,
It's quite a step
like
down.
bricks in the ground that have been grown over. but-
If they're going to step out there, there has to be some construction in addition to just putting a door.
Oh, yeah, Steve already told me there needs to be a threshold, a landing.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Well,
way,
landing and stairs.
Yes,
And that's your intent, future intent to.
yes, to go
Put
down
something
to
out
a
there.
patio at ground level, yes.
But again, that's the back of the house, and that's not visible.
Pardon?
That's the back of the house, and that's not
Yes, it
visible by
is.
public way.
Yeah, you can't see it at all.
So I gather that two of the questions are, one is that the muntins are like between the glass you're proposing versus
Yes,
outside the glass. And the other is that the material is fiberglass.
so there are three things. We want to switch to fiberglass. We want to change the configuration of the windows in the front. And we want to have the muntins between the glass only.
And what's the change in the front?
The divided
They're
light.
8/8 divided lights, and we want to do 8/1. So we
Over
want to
one.
be able to have a,
So the bottom is going to be
Yeah.
one full window instead of the muntins. No.
So, and then 8/1 on the sides.
Correct.
So you want
6/1.
the front and the sides.
You want 6/1.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. No, I think it's 8/1 on the sides. We have a garage door, a window on the garage that's 6/1, but I think the other ones are 8/1.
But you are proposing 6/1.
No, I'm proposing 8/1 for all of the windows except for the garage door, and then there are 2 single pane windows that I think continue to stay. They're just little small windows.
Haven't you said more than once in this conversation that you want to do 6/1 and not 8/1?
No, I said I've seen houses where
Okay.
they're 6
Yeah.
or
Okay.
8/1.
Okay.
Side by side, but, you know.
I have no objection to the window replacement. I understand the age of the building and the quality of the building materials that went into it. I understand your desire to have uniform windows. I have a house with 50 windows, and they're all identical with the exception of casement windows, which are different method of operation, different configuration is okay. What I do have a problem with is no exterior muntins. If they don't want muntins on the interior, who cares? But I think that, for me, applied exterior muntins are an important feature.
Why do you not want the exterior muntins?
Well, I mentioned this last time, and you said it doesn't matter to the board, but they're like $200 a window more expensive. And as I said, I've walked around the village and seen lots that I think are between the glass, but they might be those simulated where there's some on the outside, some on the inside. And I'm not an architect. I can't tell. As a casual passerby,
Well, again,
it looks,
those may have been replaced before.
oh, and I'm not telling you their addresses
I don't-
either. I'm just
we
telling
don't-
you there
we
are
don't-
lots of them.
Yeah.
But that's immaterial to this board reviewing this application.
Well, my rationale is that it's probably $100 to $200 more expensive per 22 windows.
How do these units include screens? Are they on the inside, or how does that work? What's your
It'll be a
proposal?
half screen, so it'll
They're not
be a double hung window with a top's glass and the bottom is screen.
They're not double hung, they're only single hung. So the upper sash doesn't operate at all. You lift up the lower sash and there's a screen there.
Yeah,
On the inside, the screen's on the interior?
no, you're right. I mean, I can show you. that.
No, I don't need to know, but I'm
Yeah, no, the
asking you,
screen
the
is-
screen's on the interior. I don't believe they're ever installed on the
I
exterior.
think they're on that.
Yeah, most of the new double hungs, or even single hungs, get the screen
Yeah.
fixed to the outside.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I guess
That always looks
my,
odd, excuse me, that always looks really odd to me, because the screen across the lower sash is dark.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's obvious.
yeah.
Well, it's an option for us at no additional expense to make the screen the whole size of the window. So if that's something that makes the appearance more acceptable, I'm happy to do that.
Window screens are removable.
Are those single hung windows or are they double?
If there's only a screen provided for the bottom,
Single or
it's
just the bottom?
single hung, because you wouldn't want to open the upper sash without a screen at the top. I'm not sure they make functional.
It was always an option with
Double.
windows I ordered, even double hungs, to get a full screen or half screen, you slide the screen up and move the top down. You know what I mean, that was an option in ordering windows, you could have either full or half.
so my concern, if we're talking about the 3 pieces here, again, the materials, because of the post-war house, again, I'm not as concerned about that either. What does make me concerned is the changing to do 8/1. I mean, when I look at the front of this house, it's very beautiful, and I think a lot of it is because of the divided lights there, and I just think that it's going to really change that, the elegance of the house. And then the other one is the muntins. I have trouble with that. So that's kind of where I am right now.
I agree.
Jeff, do you want to?
I agree.
I would like to show you a picture of,
Ken, do you want to make any comment about what your concern is right now in these 3 pieces of this window replacement? We got materials.
I'll make
Yeah,
a
changing.
comment on your comment, okay?
On my comment?
Yes,
Oh.
for the applicant, which is simply that when I did some work once at 25 Locust, and I put a roof on and cut the bushes down in front, that the architect, who was John Bureau, made the comment that work that specific work, which was, say, I think it was $10,000, did more than 25,000 of other architectural work I could have done to the house in appearance. And I think that what Lisa's suggesting is that the value may be there in doing the 8/8 in the front.
I don't think
What
it's a
I've shared
value,
with you
though.
is some other colonials in the village. Some are, I think I put the years that they were built underneath them. So some of them are contemporary with our house that have 6 or 8/1 window configurations.
They were built like
And I
that.
don't-
That were built,
Well,
okay,
I can only go back to
Yeah,
the
well, we don't
pictures
know
that are
either.
on the website that go back
Right,
to whatever that is,
right.
black and white.
So they could have been built like that. Yours wasn't. So that's what we're saying. So remember, we're going back to the intention of the architect who built it.
To which I say the architect built 4 identical houses. This is not a landmark home or historically, these are little homes that were put in the late 50s that are virtually identical.
But they are landmark and they are important.
And they're not
because-
identical.
And because they speak to the development of this village. It speaks to areas that had previously been undeveloped, being developed and making changes to the village. It is significant. Your
I'm not
house.
saying it's insignificant, but I think I think that's the whole point of talking about these post-war versus, is that there is a difference in these houses.
But in preservation theory, there is no difference between the most elaborate, high-styled home to the most lowly
Simplistic.
tradesperson or whatever, the smallest, most undetailed and simplest building. They are equal in preservation theory. There's no, I think you are not giving your home and the homes around you enough credit for what they are, which is
No, but I do
important.
recognize that they have vinyl siding on, and vinyl shutters. I mean, now this may have been before the whatever, but the point is,
And we would never, ever approve vinyl siding projects. So that got through somehow over the years. It could have been when the board was dismantled, I don't know, but we would never now.
I
so
can
I
tell
guess
So
I
things
would have to
happen.
ask, I think I gave fair, I went through all the documents that you guys use to make your decisions and gave examples of decisions that you've made in the past on very similar homes. I guess, other than saying every house is unique, I guess I would like him to understand why a request made for a house very much like mine was approved, and mine is clearly not going to be.
Well, because they're not identical, they're different. The board may have been different. So the way the board members look at our ordinance and our protocols are different. It all comes down to the board member's opinion is how to decipher the material that we're using as standard, and to look at each house individually. And, the one piece of information you gave me about the post-war materials, that I get and I understand. The other is, it's hard for me to forgive the fact that this is going to significantly change the appearance of your home. The lights, the 8/8 or the 8/1 is going to make a huge difference. And the muntings is going to be, we don't usually, we always have the muntings on the inside or the outside. So those two pieces are hard for me to approve. I haven't voted yet, but that's kind of where I'm coming from. If anybody else wants to speak about that, I think you've done a great job in trying to make your point based on, what you've found in our materials.
In your materials, yes.
But we could also go through, I can go
Change
through.
over time.
Your interpretation of our documents and our interpretation of the documents are obviously at this point different.
And remember, I can pull out some stuff that yours would not support in my documents. I could put all that on page 1. So, we could always pull out things in our documents that support your cause. And I know the very obvious ones that we always use as kind of 101, that I can certainly point out for you if you would feel more comfortable. But I just know those so well because they're kind of our baseline. So, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but is there anything that I haven't, or that I've said that you don't,
No, I have nothing else to add.
Ken?
I just wanted to ask, what, if anyone has an opinion on using fiberglass?
I think that fiberglass is probably going to last as long as current wood that's available for window production, and probably longer. I don't like it, I wouldn't use it, but the fact of the matter is, replacement windows only have a realistic life expectancy of about 20 to 25
25
years.
years.
And not only that, Ken,
And that's it.
it's
And then they're
also,
going to be replaced again, and another board is going to be here having the same discussion.
but also you have to
Only the
remember,
material will be
in
different.
our design standards, we do specifically point out the post-war materials are not as good as the 1890 materials. So we have documented that in our design standards so that we can fall back on the fact that we're approving that material because it's stated in our guidelines.
Fiberglass
Alternative materials to wood.
Alternative materials
To wood.
would be approved.
In this post-war era house.
Okay,
It's written in our design standards.
Specifically for that time frame.
so there's some good news.
So, do you feel, are we all ready to vote on this? Everybody ready to vote? Do you
What?
want to say anything else? Jeff, do you have anything?
No, I don't know if anyone has anything else to say. I would make a suggestion about how we proceed.
I have nothing to say.
Oh, yes, so the suggestion is about the fact that we only have 4 people on the board here.
My suggestion.
But I do want to let you know that we have 4 people on the board. If you want to come back when all 5 people are here, if you think that would be helpful, then
Depending on how the vote goes, yeah.
well, I don't know if you can we do that? If we're voting,
If it's a denial,
It's a design.
Wait, if it becomes a 2-2, then, 3-2 can make the difference. If it's 3-1, then the additional person isn't going to make a difference.
but what I'm saying is if we vote tonight and it does not pass, can she come back with the same application for the full board? So you can't, so you know that. So you can either, so, because it was already voted down. So what we're saying is if you don't want to vote tonight and you want to come back when there's 5 of us here to vote,
If you don't want to vote tonight.
right?
Yeah.
but the logic is the same, excuse me, I'm sorry. The logic is the same as the gentleman earlier. If it's 3-1 anyway, where are you going? It's already a denial. It's 2-2, then you come back.
Okay, so if it's tie, it can come back.
Yes,
Yes, I can come back, yes.
but that was.
But if it's a denial, it's a denial.
My proposal would be that you would break it into those 3 parts.
Right, can we do that? Can we break it into, so we can break it into materials? We could break it into the divided light, and we could break it into
The
the
0 over,
muntins.
and then in Muntin's in, or,
Okay, do you want us to do that? Okay. All right, so let's see, where's my proposal? Ken, do you have it over there? My cheat sheet, I should know that. I probably have it in my book. Okay, I'll make a motion. So at a meeting on the HPB on May 16th, 2022, the following motion made. I make a motion to approve as submitted the materials for the window changes of the Firex, is that what it's called? The
Ultrex.
to replace the wood windows
As proposed.
as proposed,
9
It's
ounces.
a size.
right, sizes as proposed, made by Emily Nunn at, I should have,
9 Austin.
9 Austin Park. Do I have a second?
What?
Okay, so what we're voting on right now is material.
Steve, do you have a
I
comment?
I don't know if it's up to Jeff, but you might want to add to have matching grid patterns and huntings.
We're not doing-
We're getting to that part two.
We're separating things out. We're going to vote on materials.
We're doing materials right now.
Configuration, and then months.
This is a material change from wood to this Ultrex.
All right.
Okay? All right, so, do I have a second?
I'll say.
Okay.
Member Pollock,
Yes.
Member Sarah,
Yes.
Member Morrow,
Yes.
Chair Cole,
Yes.
materials passed.
Okay. So, second motion, I make a motion.
I would suggest, subject to the applicant's approval,
Oh.
that you make it in the alternative, that you, no, I would just, no, you can't do that. I apologize. Go ahead.
So do you wish us to vote on your divided light?
Yes.
Okay. So I make a motion for the HPB on May 16th, you know, all that, to make a motion to approve.
Hold on. Are you planning to approve? I don't want to presuppose your vote, but isn't what you're talking about, and what I've heard from the board,
If I make the motion to approve, I can still
I
vote.
would say you'd make the motion you want.
Okay.
The action that you would like, that you think is appropriate.
Really?
Mhm.
I can make a motion that's not submitted? All right.
No,
Oh,
you have an application.
approve with conditions.
No.
You have an application in front of you, we're
Not
breaking
to
this up.
deny,
into
okay.
three. You have an application in front of you
I got it.
for
Yep.
8/1. divided
Okay,
by-
I make a motion that the HPB deny the change of the 8/8 to the 8/1 for the windows,
On the windows only.
for the front windows only, made by Emily at the property of wherever.
9 Austin
9
Park.
Austin Park. Do I have a second? This is a denial for that.
Second.
All right, Member Pollock,
No.
So you're
Don't you mean yes?
accepting the denial?
Oh, no, I twisted it around. So this would be for
Denying
the
it.
deny
So
it.
it'd be yes.
Yes, that, yes. Not no, but yes, sorry.
Yeah, Member Sarah,
Yes.
Member Morrow,
Yes.
and Chair Cole,
Yes.
motion denied.
Motion passes.
Motion
No,
to
motion
deny.
passes.
Motion to
Yes.
deny passes.
Yes. Okay, last but not least, does somebody else want to do this? Ginny, last one.
I'm not going to go through all this stuff. Motion is to deny false muntins installed between the double pane glazing only.
I second.
All right, Member Pollock,
This is the inside muntins in between the two glass.
So we're voting for the inside or against the,
She denied it, so do you
We're
want,
voting to deny only
Grills between
muntins
glass.
between the glass.
instead of on the outsider?
okay, yes,
So you're denying it.
I'm denying it.
all right, Member Sarah,
Yes.
Member Morrow,
Yes.
and Chair Cole,
Yes.
motion.
All right. So,
Thank you.
thank you, Emily.
I suggested
The minutes,
findings on
findings of fact.
the letter.
Yes. Jenny, can you defend it?
Findings of fact.
I think on all three pieces. you know.
On all three pieces of that motion, of all three motions.
Yeah,
findings of
let me
fact.
get to, you know, it's really, I find it really problematic to have so much surplus material in our package because it makes it very unmanageable, in my opinion. Okay. On motion, first motion for
The material
material.
approval.
Let's see what I'm looking for. Oh, this is
Want to-
the property at 9 Austin Park. was constructed in 1958. It is within the National Register District of the village, and it is also included in the village-wide historic district.
I don't know if this is going to help you at all.
Yep.
It's the first
The
one.
materials, I know I'm looking for the windows. Regarding the material proposed, fiberglass. Let's see. Our design, the Village of Pittsburgh, to the title page here. Historic and Architectural Design District Building Design Standards, page 94, addresses design standards for post-war mass-produced builder homes. Regarding materials, this is for siding. Page 95, pardon me, page 95 states that the use of newer materials such as vinyl-clad or aluminum-clad windows may be an appropriate substitution for wood windows if the appearance is indistinguishable from wood from the public right-of-way. Substitute materials should be similar in form, configuration, color, texture, and profile to the windows they replace.
Okay.
These design standards were generated before fiberglass became a commonly used substitute material for wood windows, and should be included as a newer material, although not specifically listed on page 95.
Good point.
Okay. So that's the findings of fact for the first one.
For the first one.
You could actually use that same, the design configuration for that.
Let me just go back to the.
So the second, the denial for the 8/8 change.
Yes, just a minute. I want to be sure I'm not missing something in our design guidelines regarding windows specifically. Let's just see. What's the.
Well, while you're looking, hello there in the audience. I'm Lisa. Are you here just to kind of observe, or are you here?
I'm Ken's daughter. I'm a town visitor.
Oh, okay. Hi, Ken's daughter. Well, you didn't even introduce your daughter. Okay.
Couldn't you think of something more
Brilliant to say, so she could walk home and say, wow, my dad's really smart.
You come on.
Come see us.
This is a real
Yeah, I know, you're in
student.
action though.
Okay, this is regarding the configuration
Of the light,
of the muntins
of the Munsons we're doing?
on the front elevation. The configuration of the
Oh, the
muntins.
configuration, the 8/8.
Okay. I hate to bring up the Secretary of the Interior standards, but I think it's worth.
Yeah, why? We like them.
Well, because we've allowed replacement of every window in the building. So these.
Well, because it's the post-war thing.
I know,
we were
but
able to
these
pull that in.
standards don't necessarily apply. Okay. Same preliminary, same first point in findings of fact. The house at 9 Austin Park was built in 1958. Is a contributing structure in the National Register District of the village, and is also part of the Village of Pittsburgh Historic District.
3 pages.
Page 95 of the Village of Pittsburgh Building Design Standards. That's not the exact title. The exact title should be duplicated. States that if replacement is necessary, the configuration type and overall appearance of windows should match the original. For example, a double-hung window should not be replaced by a casement window. In this instance, also the original muntin configuration and dimensions should be replicated as closely as possible. Interior muntins or muntins sandwiched between panes of glass do not sufficiently resemble the appearance of a true divided light window. Windows with exterior and interior applied dividers plus spacers within the panes of glass for double glazed windows are preferable. Notice she didn't find that section in all the research. Okay, for item number 3, regarding the muntins, whether they are applied or sandwiched between the two panes of glass, the findings of fact are the same for the window configuration, page 95. If the replacement is necessary, the configuration type and overall appearance of the window should match the original. For example, a double hung window should not be replaced by a casement window, and the original muntin configuration and dimensions should be replicated as closely as possible. Interior muntins or muntins sandwiched between panes of glass do not sufficiently resemble the appearance of a true divided light window.
Okay.
Windows with exterior and interior applied dividers plus spacers within the panes of glass are preferable.
All right,
So there you go, there's no debate.
is that okay? Okay. So,
Anyone feel free to add anything they would like to the findings of fact.
so we have some minutes that we have to vote on approval, is that right?
It's the 25th.
Okay. So these minutes are the ones for the church that you had made some additions to, correct? So I'm looking at those right now. I don't know exactly what you made for additions, but what I think needs to be in here is somewhere, because I made this comment quite a bit during this meeting, was the fact that we have no choice to ask them to do anything other than what they proposed because it was already approved by zoning and planning. Remember I said, why does it have to be outside? Why can't it be underground? Why can't it be somewhere else? And it already went to zoning and planning, and they approved the location. Therefore, we have no ability to deny.
Make it.
Right, so we had so I don't know how you would say that.
We have ability to deny, but we can't deny it based on the pipes have to go somewhere else.
Right.
On location, right? Yeah.
I mean, but what I'm saying is that we really, as a board, weren't very happy with the fact that they were being put out in the front there. We would have rather seen them hidden somewhere, but we couldn't have said that. So all I'm saying is that this makes it look like we like this idea. And I just want to make sure that that's stated. Well, because it was, actually, we only approved, because we had no choice. It was already approved for zoning and planning, right? So we really had no other choice.
You can override that approval.
I thought we couldn't. I thought once zoning and planning approved, we have no ability
The
to.
point was that you can rely on the site plan, but you don't have to approve architectural features with which you disagree.
So meaning that we don't have to approve the brick fence or the brick wall, right?
There was one more.
And we didn't have to approve.
One more item, I believe.
Although you'd be on really shaky ground with the evergreens because they're there already.
One
Yeah.
is-
Right, okay.
One is
All right.
preservation group 31.
But I don't think you can approve these minutes
One is
anyway,
this.
Why?
because you only have two
17,
Right.
on each side of
and
that
the other
question.
is, the other is,
You would need, you
Yeah,
have two
but I'm-
oppositions and two
I
in
don't believe
favor.
I handed 3.
Oh,
So
so,
they really can't vote for those findings to be included in the minutes.
Oh, okay, okay.
To me, back then, there were 2 and 2.
No, it was a 3-2 vote, but the third affirmative vote is not here.
No, I don't think you.
oh, I see, because, yeah, so Kendra's not here to approve, okay. All right, that makes sense. Okay,
Right.
So just hold them over till next meeting.
Mhm.
And then
yes.
Okay, I have, we need to look at the minutes
No,
for
yeah.
last meeting, the
Oh, do we
25th.
have the minutes for the
Yes.
25th?
Yes, we do.
Let's see them.
Okay. I'm handing,
Or did I read them already? I think I did.
thank you. Okay, Jeff Turner? Ken Morrow?
Is this reading material?
Yes. Educational material for the board.
Thank you.
I have one. This is for.
Steve, does Steve want any?
I have a stack set aside for Steve over here.
Okay. Okay, so Brooklyn, is there any other meeting minutes that we need to approve?
the 25th.
25th.
can't-
No, that's the one that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So the 314 one, right? The 425 was is that the one with the?
Well, there were two?
Oh, no, you're right. So the 314 was the one that we had to have Jeff put in for the, okay, so the 425 meeting minutes.
I would like to add to the minutes that there was a discussion regarding 19 North Main Street. And I don't think it needs to be anything more than a statement that there was a discussion. But there
Oh,
was a
about
discussion.
the firehouse, the district firehouse.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Okay.
There was
we
a
add that?
discussion, and you'll be,
Yes, the last meeting minutes. There was a discussion, you could even say there was a discussion that Lisa Cove had sent a letter
I don't
to the
think,
board, to the trustees, asking about the state of where we are with that address. That's all I can say.
these are pretty steep.
Thank you.
These are all National Park Service documents available online for anybody.
Steve, what is the address on the district house, the fire district house? 19?
19.
19 North Main Street. Okay,
All right,
so can we vote even though we added those in the minutes?
sure. You add them to the minutes.
Okay, and we can vote on those?
Yep. I make a motion that we approve
Meeting minutes.
the meeting minutes from April 25th with the addition stated.
I second.
Member Pollock,
Aye.
member Sarah,
Yes.
member Morrow,
Yes,
Chair Cole,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, I have put together a memo for the board, a copy for you, but also it is addressed to Mayor Plummer, village trustees, Historic Preservation Board members, and Jeff Turner, attorney. Written today. And I'll read the copies. The purpose of this memo is to express my concern regarding the apparent secrecy of efforts concerning the buildings located at 19 North Main Street and attempts to exclude the Historic Preservation Board in those efforts on your part, Ms. Mayor, and HPB member Jeffrey Pollock. At the conclusion of the April 25th, 2022 HPB meeting, Chairperson Cove put forward a member item regarding 19 North Main Street. Ms. Cove had been approached by Historic Pittsburgh, our local preservation partner, regarding the buildings and any potential action on the part of the village to address the extended abandonment and condition of the buildings by the Pittsburgh Fire District and independent local government. Mr. Pollock immediately stated in a forceful tone, "Why are we even talking about this?" and indicated that it was not an issue to be discussed or addressed by the HPB, although he has evidently been in discussions with you, this is addressed to the mayor, and I believe from the conversation, the code enforcement officer. Chapter 12-4-I of the Village of Pittsburgh Code states the general and advisory powers of the board. Subsections 7 and 8 clearly provide for HPB advisory participation in any efforts regarding these structures. The HPB must be part of any village plans or decisions regarding these structures. Subsection 9 provides the HPB with the authority to retain the services of a qualified preservation consultant to generate an independent opinion of the existing conditions of these buildings. Any action on the part of the village or fire district must reflect recommendations such an opinion would provide. I officially request that you provide the HPB documentation of all previous meetings, messages, phone calls, etc., and their content between the village and the fire district, and to allow the HPB to appoint the subcommittee to participate in all future activities related to these structures. Jeff? Ken? Jeff?
Ken?
Lisa? Record? Steve? Brooklyn, here's a copy for the mayor, if you could put her in your mailbox or wherever she receives communication in the office.
So this is going to her, she hasn't seen this yet.
She has not seen this yet.
So
So,
is there any concerns about this, Jeff? I mean, what happens
Yeah,
here?
are there concerns about this?
I mean, is this,
This is not coming from this board. It's coming from-
right?
No, it's coming from
Okay.
me.
So
Okay.
is there anything that we need to do about this, or?
I'm gonna look at it, but I mean, I don't see any action. I mean, it's a member has written something, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I really applaud great attention to detail. If there's something to be done, we should do it. In my opinion, and it's only my opinion, and maybe limited knowledge, it didn't seem to be appropriate at the time. But if we need to do something, great, I'm all for it.
I'm not saying whether or not anything needs to be done. I'm saying if there is concern about those buildings and the mayor is in communication with the fire district regarding those buildings, the HPB should be informed. And it should not be something that the board is told, why are we even discussing this? We were discussing this because a concern had been brought to the board chair, therefore to us, about a building of concern to our local preservation partner. It should be open conversation about that, not an immediate shutdown. We're not talking about.
I don't think there's anything to talk about, as I understand. I mean, maybe I know very, very little about it.
Well, I think that
It
was the
seems
problem.
like
I think that everyone knows very little about it. And I think that there was some concern that, first of all, there should be something being discussed about it, number one. Number two, that there's been some just rumor, hearsay, that there are things in the works between the mayor and the district and some other people that is not previewed or purviewed by the board.
And I would also state, how many years has that building been vacant? How come this wasn't done before?
I think it's been attempted. I think it's, over the years, it's been attempted, and I think that's the reason why it was brought up again.
Because
nothing's been happening.
The village has little to no authority over what happens there. That's why nothing is happening.
We think, we don't know. I mean, we're not sure.
We had a discussion at our last meeting also about the legalities of, is this an independent local government? I will state again that when the fire department bought that property, I was chair of this board. We had lengthy discussions also about when the fire hall, I'm not sure anybody sitting in this room, maybe Jeff does, besides me, remembers the old fire hall. And the old fire hall was torn down. What was built is new. The HPB, as a courtesy, reviewed those documents the same way the school and the town doing work on the old Lincoln Avenue School. They are independent local government.
I guess the issue is that we had a community board, our partner, Historic Preservation, come to me directly and said, what is going on? Why is this still sitting here? It's been years and years. What's happening? Is there anything happening? How can it sit here? And I felt obligated to bring it, first of all, I felt that I should know, and I didn't, to bring it to our board and have a discussion. Why is it there? Is there anything happening? Do we have anything are we able to get things moving again? Should we be informed so that the community knows? So I just felt that it was our responsibility to, give Historic Pittsford some answers. And I didn't have any answers because I don't know anything about it.
Well, it's your responsibility to bring up their concern to the board.
And that's what I did. And then I wrote the letter to bring it up to the trustees because I felt that it was my responsibility as an advocate, as a historic preservation advocate and the chair, to bring it up to the trustees to say, hey, look, can you just let us know? We're not asking, we're not dictating what happens. We're just saying, can you let us know what's happening with this building?
If anything,
it's significant.
If anything is going on, we should be informed.
Right.
And I think that's exactly the point. And I think if something has happened that's worth passing on, great. If something has happened, then that's the mayor's problem. If it hasn't happened.
Who's to determine whether or not it's risen to the level of informing the board? Steve said they're making arrangements to do a walk through the building. I think that the HPB should be informed of that. I think that if members of the
So what are we going to do with that?
If members of the HPB.
What are we going to do with that?
Some of us might want to tour the building. Some of us.
It might not be available for touring. They may not want that.
That's right.
Put all these things on paper and turn it in, but I don't think we're there yet. I haven't heard anything about this.
If
So-
Steve is making arrangements to make a tour because the village is concerned about the condition of the building, that, to me, implies that there is concern on the part of the village government regarding that historic building and that the HPB should be informed.
I'm all for it.
Okay,
I'm for.
okay, then how come we
I'm for-
put absolutely
And I
nothing?
guess the other thing too is that if there is not anything happening, and there hasn't been anything happening, why? That no one knows the answer for that.
Very good question.
I gave an answer for that a long time ago.
Well, yeah, but then there's been some question. Does the fire
former
district,
mayor didn't want to do anything?
Pardon?
Was it that the former mayor didn't want to do anything?
and that was your answer, that the former mayor decided that he didn't want to do anything with that building, he just wanted to sit there. I just can't imagine that Mayor Corby would want that building to sit there.
I don't believe
Probably
that
didn't want to.
He didn't want to ruffle the feathers of the fire department because they are volunteer service to this village.
I believe because I look over there and I say, boy,
I'll
let's
tell you
go.
this, in every municipality, they will act exactly the same toward the fire department.
Wait, so
Exactly.
you think they'll just pull out? The fire department will pull out?
No, but I'm just saying they get some perks. Being a volunteer fire department, they get some perks that
Okay.
normal citizens wouldn't just because they are a service to the community. So it's pretty much standard fare in municipalities to not press on them.
Got it.
The question's been asked, like you said, I contacted Bob Ockadenbani, he said he would bring it to the board. And then I called him maybe a month later and said, hey, Bob, what's going on? I brought it to the board, they're still trying to figure out what to do.
And I
So
understand
is
that.
there something to say?
I
Yes,
understand
there's
that.
that to say.
That,
There's
number
that
one.
to
That's great.
Number two, though, I mean, I get, giving people a little break when you're something special, but 14 years? I mean, letting it go for a couple years is one thing, but 14 years, seems like a big break.
I
To
think
me.
there should,
No other resident would be able to keep a house in that condition on a main street for 14 years.
Correct, but then you also got to look at the other way, and if you realize that it has been 14 years, it's been allowed to slowly be a done thing, then to try and, I know you want an answer, but how you ask a question or looking for information makes a difference on how you get a response.
And I just wrote a very general letter and said, can you just let us know what's going on? That's it. I didn't say anything that I wanted anything to happen. I just said, the village, the residents are asking what's happening with this. And as the preservation chair, I have no idea. I'm like, I don't know.
I think it would be useful to have an opinion regarding whether or not the village is legally capable of doing anything about that building. If the village has no legal capacity
Right, and that's
to
another
affect
thing,
any change,
exactly.
then
If we as a village,
then
right,
that's the answer.
that would be an easy one. If I said, you know what, our lawyer says that we have no legal right to do anything about this, then that's fine, all right, that's fine, that's my
That's the
answer. But I don't know if anybody's been able to say that.
Then people can go to the fire hall and
Right,
complain.
but right now,
They-
no one
they
said
can hear
that.
about it from
This board has no legal right to do anything about it.
That's where I came from on this.
Right.
Excuse me.
Right, no, we know we can't do anything, we know we can't do anything, but shouldn't we know if there's anything being
That's
done?
absolutely true. We
Right?
should.
If there was
We should
something
know.
being done, you would have to know, but there is nothing being done.
Trustees have the legal right to do something.
Okay, so is it appropriate that I wrote a letter to the trustees and said, can you look
I
into
can't
it?
hear you, too many people are talking.
Regardless of the fact that it's an independent local government, because that was not how the legalities of it were discussed with the HPB when the fire department purchased that property.
My point is that if anyone has a legal right to do anything about it, it is the trustees and not this board.
I agree, but is it okay, I mean, do you think it's appropriate for us as a board to express a concern to the trustees, to ask them what their thoughts are on this? Are they planning on doing anything? How is it able to sit there? I mean, just to give us some feedback as to why they're not concerned.
I don't make judgments about what's appropriate, but it certainly is within your jurisdiction to make inquiries.
Okay, and that's basically what I did. I wrote a letter to the trustees saying that we were concerned, and that's And I just wanted it to be presented to the trustees so that maybe there was some discussion, or maybe I can get an answer so that when the community comes to me and asks me what's going on, I can tell them.
Or any of us.
In reality, the community should be going to the trustees and not you.
Well, they figured it was preservation. It's been sitting there in
It's
most,
not. It's really not.
it's not preservation?
Respond to Historic Pittsford and tell them that we are not the,
Okay.
we are
And tell
not
them to go
the
to the-
agency.
then tell them to go to the
We need take it to
trustees.
the
Okay.
trustees.
You
Then that's what
know,
I'll do.
maybe a pragmatic thing to do might be along the path of just asking the fire department if some people could get a tour of the building.
Yeah, it has been the question in there, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But I would like to just see the condition of it, see what, make sure it's secure, not water. I mean, I haven't seen anybody in it for quite a while, so that would be
And
my.
Steve,
only-
yeah, and isn't it, like, shouldn't you be able to go in there anytime you want?
No.
As a building inspector?
Oh, no.
Really? If you felt that there was some if you felt that there was a danger or something, you
Steve,
can't.
I would have to have proof of some sort of danger
Okay.
in order to get a court order
Okay,
to go in the door.
okay,
And it's not an order, it's an administrative warrant.
okay. Great. Okay, good discussion, everyone. Is there anything else that anybody would like to bring to the board tonight? All right, well, I thank you all very much for your passion and your discussion and your input. I make a motion to close the meeting tonight. Do I have a second?
Sorry, you had to sit through all this.
No problem.
Oh, yeah.
You want to take a
She
second?
Probably better
some
things.
white pops.
I think these are the,
Do I feel like to call for closing?
Yes, we do.
Member
That's an easy
Pollock?
one.
Yes, personally. Jeff?
Jeff, can you close the meeting? Do you want to say yes or no?
Yes.
Member Singh?
yes.
Member Morrow?
Yes.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Adjourned. Thank you,
Welcome
guys.
to the meeting.
Awesome job.
Thank you.
It's raining.
Steve.
So just so you guys know, the meeting